Hello, and welcome to Rabbit Troop Sucks. Today, Mike and I are joined, and I am Paul, are joined by our friend Nemo, and she is making her debut with Rabbit Troop Sucks as we cover Double Dragon from 1994. And I'm really glad, Nemo, that you just told me that you did not know Double Dragon was a video game until right now.
Yes, 100%. This was before my time, so...
This is before everyone's time.
Yeah.
This is a
time before time.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
throwback there for you.
Yeah, was that American Rickshaw?
I think so.
Yeah, so I came up with the idea of having Nemo as a guest. Not that we didn't have ideas of guests, but one thing that I wanted to know, Nemo, or to note, I should say, is before we were going through movies that might have suited you, I said, if we have a movie, and I put this in the notes of my phone, that is listed as Hunky Boy Smoke Show, I want Nemo to be on this podcast. And clearly going forward, Hunky Boy Smoke Show is the movie stylings that you're going to watch. And you got double in Double Dragon, 2 Hunky Boy Smoke Shows of the time era. I don't know if that holds up to you or for you, but...
it does not.
Yeah, I'm guessing it does not.
Actually, it does.
Nice.
Yeah, like, I was pleasantly surprised. You know, I see how they are now, and then I was like, oh, younger. I liked it.
Are they still hunky guys now?
Well, okay, one, Scott Wolf, I think most people would know from
Is he
Party
dead?
of 5. Not at all.
No, he's not dead.
And Mark, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, who
No
plays
one does.
Jimmy, is from Iron Chef. He is the nephew and the host of Iron Chef, and looks nothing like he does in this movie, but he is the host of every Iron Chef.
I've never seen Iron
Yep.
Oh, he will start off like, my great uncle, started Iron Chef, and
Amazing.
and he has a shaved head now, and
Yep.
he looks older, and I never knew it was the same person, so it's bananas.
All right.
Yes.
And Double Dragon is based on a video game.
Yes, and I will say he looks good with or without hair. So I was like, okay.
Cool.
And before Mike arrived, I told Nemo a movie all three of us saw together in 2009, Ninja Assassin, is currently on sale. And I was like, wow, we should just pick that up while on sale and just go back and watch it. But it is currently on sale.
Excellent. Yeah, that movie is actually how I met you, Nemo.
Yes.
And that started our year-long trend of terrible martial arts movies with hunky guys.
Yeah, and on a side note, this also started when I saw Ninja Assassin was on sale. There's so many ninja movies on Tubi. I just started favoriting all of them on IMDb. So we have a ninja marathon. So basically what you're telling me is Hunky Boy Smoke Show held up through Double Dragon.
Yes, it did.
That's fantastic.
But then I was also like, why am I doing the martial arts stuff? Like, what is this about? Like, I was very excited to be invited to this, and I'm like, but really, we got to go with the Asian theme?
Correct.
I did not go with an Asian theme on purpose. I went with Hunky Boy Smoke Show.
I'll take that.
But we're also probably going to do a lot of ninja movies because you seem to be into ninja movies and...
I'm into anything
hunky
martial
boys.
arts. Yeah.
Okay.
With that being said,
So I think, yeah, what you're leading us to believe is Robert Patrick is the winner of the Hunky Boy Smoke Show for you with hair and all. I'm going to try to convince Mike to get that as a haircut.
Okay. As long as I can get the jacket also to go with it.
Well, Nemo and I will help you pay for whatever you need to
Excellent.
make that
That's what I
ensemble,
like
to
to hear.
complete the ensemble. Yeah, so Double Dragon is based on a 1987 video game, which is crazy. I do have fond memories of playing this game in the arcade. I was never very good at it, so there's not like really award-winning moments or anything like that for me to tell.
I hated this game. I sucked at it. It was not for me.
I remember playing it more on like at-home console, so it's unlimited continues.
Even then.
Yeah, I mean this game is pretty brutal, and it's definitely going to be one that sucks up your quarters. But then we lead into, and what I'm guessing is probably one of the few times we'll be having reviews on movie adaptations of video games, because usually they're just so terrible, as anyone knows. But the summary of this film is two brothers have half of a powerful ancient Chinese talisman. An evil gang leader has the other half and determines to get the brother's half and have a complete medallion so he could gain absolute power. And
Were they actually meant to be brothers in this?
they said that,
Yep.
A lot of family resemblance.
Yeah, there is no family resemblance whatsoever. But yeah, they know, your dad was lost, and there's a whole thing. Your dad gave me this medallion, and
Okay.
you don't remember this at all?
I zoned out a lot of this movie.
Okay, good times.
I mean, I watched it pretty late at night, and I was not sober.
Sure, you didn't catch Andy Dick for 1 minute as
No,
the Smogcaster.
I did catch Andy Dick and also Vanna White and George Hamilton playing.
Those are some of my
themselves.
favorite parts.
Yeah, absolutely. I did one thing I will say about this movie. This movie absolutely sucks, but I like some of the imagery of LA where it's like everything's being held up by weird pipes and stuff. I thought that was kind of fun.
It's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
It takes place in like 2007. I want
Yep.
to say.
And I was like, I don't remember that happening in
No.
2007. So, and then it was
wish it
the
would.
earthquake that caused everything to like be like that.
Yeah, which is much different because before we started recording, I forced Nemo and Mike to watch the opening of the arcade sequence of the actual video game. And the opening sequence is a girl is just hanging outside a building and 4 or 5 dudes walk up to her, punch her in the stomach, throw her like a sack of potatoes over their shoulders and walk off. Then a garage door opens and Jimmy and Billy pop out and then just start beating ass along the way. And that's the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with some kind of post-apocalyptic fallout. Nothing about water problems and goo.
Yeah,
and
that would have actually made
mutations.
more sense and been a more cohesive plot than what we are about to get into.
I am going to mount a defense on this movie. Rewatching it, I do not think this movie is as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I mean, it has like a 3 point something on IMDb.
Counterpoint, it is that bad.
It is, yeah.
I don't feel it's deserving of that 3 point whatever. We've watched movies that are also in that 3 point or lower 4 area, and I think this movie is better than some of them. I'm not saying this movie's great. I'm just saying a 3 something is pretty rough for this movie. There are some fun moments of this movie.
It was watchable, unlike some movies that we have watched.
Yeah, and I know it just opens up with PG-13 for foul language, smoking, and violence. And my first thought was, those were the days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what PG-13 is now. You could do anything at PG-13.
Yeah. So the video game opens up with a woman getting gut punched. The movie opens up with what I thought was like an ancient Chinese village fight, but it just turned out to be now.
I also thought this was like 1,000 years
Right.
ago, and this was going to be the story of the medallion. But it's like,
but then like some guy has a cell phone. He's like, "Hey, we got the thing." Like, oh, okay.
Wasn't it a gal?
What? Yeah. Oh, like sexy assassin.
Yeah, the-
sexy henchman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lash?
She was is that her name?
Yeah,
I
it's like
completely spaced that out.
It's like Linda Lash.
Okay.
Does she know Lash LaRue?
Yes.
Is that her daughter?
Oh yeah, it's because she had a whip the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I think that is her character's name in the video game. But yeah, it's Linda. Wait, did I get it right? Linda Lash?
Is Lash some kind of slang for a whip that I didn't know about?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Whiplash.
Hey, someone's at my door. Yeah. They're gonna wait. So that was weird. She like beats some old guys up and then takes the medallion from a statue, or the half the necklace, or whatever the MacGuffin in this movie is.
Yeah, we quickly find out that it's half the medallion that has been tucked away secretively, but not so much. They clearly found it.
Right away.
Right. Yeah,
they
they're like-
went to the cave and
Right.
like, there it is.
It's like you'll never find it. It's hidden, and then it's like it's on an ornate statue in like this temple. Like, nah, that's where I would have put it. Get on
Right,
this.
and it's also like 4 monks, and I don't want to like downplay monks in general, but it's not like the martial artist kick-ass monk. It's the monk who's going to run away from the cave, away from the medallion, or one monk just straight up leads the woman to the medallion and hides next to it. So bold move.
Yeah, they didn't practice that.
Take that, Shadow Ninjas.
Yeah. Oh boy. So now we're back in New Angeles, I guess.
Yeah.
And Sexy Henchman gives the T-1000.
Yeah, we have not established this. The villain is Robert Patrick.
The villain is Robert Patrick, Special Agent Doggett. He's got a weird zoot suit kind of thing going on,
You could look at the picture I drew.
and yeah, and like a high top blonde
Bleach.
fade thing.
Yeah.
He looks great. He's the hunky boy smoke show we've got.
I knew it.
And he opens up the box, and it's like there's only half the thing. He thinks they have the whole medallion. It's only half, and he's super pissed. but he puts it in his hand, and then he like turns into a black and white piece of paper and like floats around
or
for some reason. Yeah,
cardboard cutout.
I thought it was a shadow. I think it was what a shadow would have been during that time.
that was the best they could do.
yeah,
shadow
was that.
1994 Shadow style.
Right, well, it's like a normal looking movie, and then he turns into like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit cartoon shadow. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and he's really angry about this too. I do want to highlight that these powers kind of go back and forth. This power makes him pretty much invincible, but the second piece of the medallion would be even sweeter. We find out that one medallion controls the body and one controls the soul. It appears that he has this soul half, and he can do all this mystic stuff, and he's really not happy that he doesn't have the other half, but who the hell cares? You could probably wreck shop with this pretty quickly. And he's like, I can't do anything until I find the second half.
I'm also not super clear on what his ultimate goals for all of this were.
Oh, he later reveals that he is now just going to run New Los Angeles. Later in the movie, that's just his ultimate goal. That he's just going to run it.
Wasn't he doing that presently?
Not into the official capacity that he wanted.
Because it seems like he's doing okay.
Well, because eventually he breaks through into like all the different gangs in Los Angeles.
The gangs were fun.
Yeah,
He gets them together like the Joker.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those fucking gangs. It was like the clowns and the baby boys and the...
Oh my god. I was like,
Yeah,
They're all,
clowns?
it was a bunch of doo-wop
It was
groups.
like the Mohawks and the clowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, but now we find out who has the other half of the medallion, and it's a woman. Is this their mom?
I
No.
thought it was a sister.
Nope.
Who is it? Is it some...
Guardian?
It is a woman that worked with her with their father. That's what I've gathered.
She's referenced as like their guardian or something at some point. I didn't know.
Your dad promised me, or I promised your father, that I would keep the medallion safe, just like I would keep you boys safe. She says something like that. And we're
Yeah.
like, all right. Yeah, Satori?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got the other half of the medallion, and we're brought to a karate tournament where Jimmy and Billy, who are both the leads, are in a tag team match, and they try to and fail and quickly establish that Billy, who is Scott Wolf, is kind of the rambunctious one. He's the wild one, and this is a storyline that maybe is brought up twice in this film. That you're the risk taker, and you need to calm down. And basically, they're tag teaming, and his clownery basically gets them both disqualified from the match, even though they were about to win it.
So, is there tag team karate matches? Is that a real thing?
No.
Okay.
But I will say, in the whole karate match thing, how he begins it when he was trying to like fight the other team, when Scott was like getting all rambunctious or whatever, he says, "Eat some fists, butthead."
He's got the
And I'm
one-liners
like, dang,
left and right.
look at that.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out here. I think Scott Wolf's stunt double probably has more screen time than Scott Wolf.
Sure.
Because anytime any even light martial art happens, it is not Scott Wolf, because he cannot do any sort of karate. He has like a Three Stooges karate style, where every time he has to fight someone and it clearly has to be him, he basically just like slaps them or knees them in the chest. The other guy, Mark Damascus, or whatever the fuck his name is, like he is actually clearly a talented martial artist, and also a much better actor.
You will also find him in John Wick.
He's one of the assassins.
He's one of the assassins in John Wick,
That
y'all.
doesn't narrow that down.
John
They're all
Wick 3.
assassins.
John Wick
Here's
3.
the third one.
Well, no, but everyone in that movie's an assassin.
I knew I saw him recently in something. Good call, Nemo. I
Yep.
was like, where did I see him recently outside of an episode of Iron Chef? That's right. Well, it was really weird years ago when I was like, wait a minute. And it just clicked in. Like after 100 episodes of Iron Chef, I was like, I've seen this guy somewhere. Oh my God, he's one of the people in Double Dragon. That's a hell of a resume.
That's what got him the job.
Which we'll soon get to Alyssa Milano, because
Oh my God.
this was not an upgrade to her career in any capacity. This was she lost a bet and someone came and collected.
I was trying to figure out if this was pre-Charm or post, or like during Charm, because I was like, why is this happening? Right now?
It has to be. It's not post, so is it before? When did Charm start?
Or during. That's what I was thinking.
I'm on it. When did Charm start?
Yeah,
Charmed was 98, so this is 4 years before Charmed. So thank God Alyssa Milano got onto Charmed and off of this. But yeah, so they lose, and so what we see in kind of a major point that they do try to establish is there are a lot of earthquakes happening in New Los Angeles, and I like that there's people actually jacking up the ceiling to keep it steady, and then we get to this weird commercial about Jack City. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like one step away from Rick and Morty, where it's like, your building falling down called Jack City would jack you up. You go anywhere else, you're getting jacked. Like, and I was like, that's really funny. Side note, I just saw, because this kind of reminds me of this like weird commercial fallout. This reminds me of The Running Man. Like climbing. Have you seen Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man? It's written by Stephen King. He wrote it under a different name. Richard Bachman.
Richard Bachman, yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the future on a game show for his life.
Oh,
we should totally watch this. And I just found out it's being rebooted. I was like, by Edgar Wright of Baby Driver. And, you know.
Is Kevin Hart going to be in it?
Oh, my God. Probably. Kevin Hart's going to be in everything. But it did remind me of that with these commercials. And then Mike noted that we get George Hamilton playing himself and Vanna White playing herself as two news correspondents for like whatever the local news is, with Andy Dick as the smogcaster. And they are throughout all of the movie. So there's two things established. One, that the city is in ruins, there's tons of earthquakes, and by this newscast, that there is a curfew. And basically just to highlight what they start here, but what is quickly established is there is a curfew and there's a bunch of gangs. The gangs apparently respect, I guess, for some reason, they're not going to commit crimes during sun up.
I had a note about that. That just seemed weird.
But sundown, it's the purge, buddy.
Yeah.
like the cops are like, even the cops, we ain't going out there. We have a deal. Like everyone's like, we have a deal that you just go home when the sun is down and everyone does whatever, because this is now a lawless land, and whatever happens.
It also seems like that it would be really easy to wipe out that particular kind of crime, because they're all just in their houses during the day. You know where they're at.
Sure.
Like they're just in the big warehouse that they all, for some reason, rent out.
I also feel like they basically just have to cross a bridge. It's like, they don't go over the bridge. Okay, sun's down.
Right.
Well, but you bring up warehouse, but I feel like with like Billy and Jimmy and their guardian, they were in a theater.
Yeah, they lived in a dope-ass theater.
Yeah, in a theater that was an obstacle course during that whole fight.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I was like, wow.
It was like the karate double dare theater of death.
Yep.
Well, we're not there yet. They're
not there yet.
They're trying to get home.
They're trying to get home in their gigantic station wagon that has like a trash can taped to it with flames coming out of it.
Yep.
It's like being driven by trash. They're burning trash on the inside. I don't know. I wasn't clear on how the car
Yeah, I thought that was like a Mr. Fusion moment from Back to the Future, because they're like, can't you go any faster? And he's like, yeah, he's throwing like newspaper. And it's so Mr. Fusion was on top of the DeLorean. This is in the middle of the console of a car, like a flaming lava pit, just consuming all that goes into it. And they're just putting like newspapers and like, I don't know, plastic cups.
like dead rats and stuff.
Right. And they're trying to go faster. That's how you do it. Go fast.
Yeah, well, you got to.
And they do it. And then they get away from people who are chasing them.
Except for that really big guy with his bigger truck.
You mean Bo Abobo?
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we're later going to get steroid version of Bo Abobo.
Yeah, he's chasing after him in like it's like a video game truck. He catches him though, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, no. They crash in an alley.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the whole time I was just thinking, I was like, so we're doing Mad Max stuff? Is that what? Mad Fury? What?
Yeah, it totally looks like Mad Max.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
Yes.
does. Yes, yeah.
He's part of the Mohawk gang.
Right.
Yep.
So they're out after curfew and they're trying to get away from Joe Qdoba. What was his name?
Bo Abobo.
Bo. Okay.
Yeah, so basically they zoom off, but they crash into like a wall, car, whatever.
Right.
But Bo Abobo in his monster truck and with his Mohawk crony, they get stuck in the alleyway.
Right.
And then they jump out, and we get one of my favorite Billy moments. Hey, Broomhead, we're going to sweep the floor with you. Or with your skull. Hey, Broomhead, we're going to sweep the floor with your skull. And you get a lot of one-liners like that throughout the movie.
Yeah. So they're kind of getting ambushed a little bit. But then this is where we first meet Alyssa Milano, who pops in to save the day.
Yeah, she's apparently like the leader of a resistance group, which we later are known as Power Core. I love Power Core.
I like how Power Core has like branded merch. Like they all have Power Core enamel pins, and she has like a belt buckle for some reason. Who's making this stuff? It's a pretty high end organization.
Yeah. Also, let's talk about Alyssa Milano here.
Yeah,
she is like, if you close your eyes and I'm like, dress someone in the 90s. She just got dressed in the 90s.
Yeah, she has pants that are somehow impossibly tight, but also super unflattering.
And baggy. Like, yeah, they're like tight on sides,
right.
then baggy, then open in areas. They're like chaps in ways.
And she has, for some reason, Eminem's haircut.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't...
It was just bleach blonde. Everyone, that's the end.
It wasn't just...
Well, it was what? It wasn't buzz cut. It was definitely like pixie-ish.
Yeah, it's like when there's way too much product in it, and
It's the lead singer of Everclear.
so it's most people from the 90s.
Yeah. Which later we find out that she is keeping this secret from her police chief father, that she's the head, and she manages this by just putting on a wig. That her father never knows that she's just wearing a wig in the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're like, oh yeah, you guys want to fight us? And then Bo Abobo backs off like, no man. And his little crony is like, oh, we got to get out of here. And they're like, yeah, we're tough. And they turn around, there's like 40 people led by Alyssa Milano, and we learn it's the Power Core, and they're here to help everyone. And Alyssa Milano, her character's name is Marion. She's like, we gotta go because it's after curfew, and this is what happens when people do things after curfew.
Right. She also kind of implores the brothers to help join the Power Core because they could be an asset, but they're like, no, that Power Core's lame.
This also establishes that Billy has something for Alyssa Milano's character. Like, they're kind of flirty, and they're like, oh, like maybe I would work with you.
For her.
Yikes! I read trivia that they were dating right after this movie.
That's a shame.
Alyssa Milano, let's upgrade your career and choices going forward. But yeah, I note this because at the end of the movie, Jimmy tries to get involved with this situation, which I thought was super weird, but it is clearly established that Alyssa Milano and Billy are probably going to date, or they're flirting, or they both have feelings towards one another. And at no point in time is Jimmy involved with any of this until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Well, I feel like that was somewhat hinted. I mean, it might be me being a gal looking into this, but like every time she turns around, the guys definitely had their eyes on a specific area. Y'all don't remember that?
Oh, they're looking at her ass constantly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I have 12 pages in notes.
Yeah, no, that was like every single time, because that happened when we first get introduced to her, and then it happens a few more times when they like start interacting and then like trying to come up with a plan. Yep, every single time.
To their defense, maybe they were just like, even for the 90s, these pants are terrible.
Yeah, that's what they were all.
Yeah, that's what they were thinking.
Maybe they were checking out her dope ass Power Core belt buckle.
The merch.
Yeah.
Like, damn, where do I buy this merch?
They have like a threadless shop for that or something. Fuck. Oh, so this is they get to their weird theater house, and then this is where we jump into Santori time. Just spends 5 minutes of exposition explaining what this movie is about.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we don't really know when their father died, but it seems very convenient that now that this other half of medallion has been found, Satori is like, I'm going to tell you everything that I've not told you, but I'm going to tell it to you right now. So basically, your father died and gave me this medallion, and I promised that I'll look after the boys and the medallion. And this medallion has this power, and we, dark forces are aware of it, and they're already looking for it. So I just need you to know all that. And they're like eating like cereal for dinner. They're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's very, very easily put together, all within 3 hours of the other half of the medallion. I mean, from what I've gathered, is their father probably has been dead for years, months, like a while.
A bit, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And she had any point in time to tell them any of this, and it is just right now.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Because then we're, boom, right at Robert Patrick's lair, Koga. And he is reviewing, stuff. I have like Linda Lash is there. She brings Bo Abobo because he failed. He saw that they had this piece of technology that did scan, and they did find that the boys had half this medallion. And that's kind of all I get. And then it cuts right to the news that Madonna splits from dating Tom Arnold, which I really appreciated.
Oh, they give Joe Qdoba like some weird steroid shot in the weird lab
because he failed to capture the Lees.
Yeah.
Which I think that was I was also confused. I'm like, how do we know the Lees have the medallion? Like, I know they were reading on the screen, which I'm like, that is some decent technology.
Yeah.
Y'all. Like, that's cool because they were reading the license plate. I'm like, oh, this belongs to the Lees, and they're in there. And for some reason, there was already a wanted like poster of them for whatever reason. So I was like, cool. And then Adobo, he
Bo Abobo.
yeah, he decided that's when they gave him the shots to be like, this is to punish you, but it can also enhance you.
So basically what happened is they had this technology that he deployed while chasing the Lees, Bo Abobo, and it just happened to catch that Satori had the medallion. But Bo Abobo tried to grab the medallion because it was a piece of jewelry, gold. And she's like, no, it's personal. Not thinking that he wanted it for like the demonic reasons, just that he was going to take it.
He thought she thought he was just robbing her.
And then that inspired her to be like, well, someone tried to steal my medallion. Maybe I should tell you boys the story about it. And then Robert Patrick is like, now I know where it is. So it's all coming together.
Right. So is this where they do the raid on the theater?
No, that's a little later. We are now back at Alyssa Milano's house, and that's where I know her little brother's like, oh, you've been out again, and she puts on this wig that's clearly fake, and then says hi to Daddy, right. And they're eating Sharo Crispy cereal, which is the company that Robert Patrick owns. It's like basically Amazon. This is one of the reasons I liked it. It's like basically Robert Patrick is Jeff Bezos if he was looking for Chinese ancient powers.
Right, but he still wants more, apparently.
Yeah. He wants the other half of the medallion.
He wants to do a big, merger of all the groups.
Yeah,
that's the.
They got to unionize the gangs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joker style.
Yeah, exactly. Give them good health care and shit.
But I think this is where you see that there's Alyssa Milano's character disagree with what's going on, and is like having that conversation with her dad of like, this shouldn't be like this. We need to like help and actually, because there's a lot of like environmental issue that is occurring, and she is wanting to work and help with that, and he's like, no, you can't fix these gangs. They're like this. And
then we see a commercial. So the Power Core is a commercial, like a news clip. It's like, Power Core did blank and blank, and they're an underground group, and that and Nemo's totally right. That's when the dad's like straight up Power Core terrorists. And I listed him as Time Cop Dad for some reason on the side. So Time Cop Police Chief Dad is like, they're terrorists. And Alyssa Milano, Marion, has to keep this secret. Like, what my dad doesn't know won't hurt him. And then, boom, now we're back at the Lee's house. And the thugs break in, Mike.
Yeah. And so Mr. Boba T, whatever his goddamn name is.
Good old Boba T.
He bursts in along with some thugs, and he looks like Bib Fortuna, but super roided out.
Oh yeah, this is steroid version of this.
Yeah, he's steroid version. So he's got a real thick boy neck, and just everything else. And he's wearing a Sergeant Pepper jacket. I don't know if he had that on earlier. Yeah, and there's a little bit of a tussle. And we learn once again that Scott Wolf can still not do karate.
Yeah.
He just hits people with 2x4s and trash can lids.
And he runs away a lot.
He does run away a lot. Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's really good at. That's his
running, and then he's like,
He could run and dodge.
Right. So they're fighting it out, and then what's his name? The T-1000 shows back up, and he again turns into a cartoon Fantasia ghost.
Yeah. Which again, this makes me think dude, you have mystic powers. Just wreck shop. What are you doing? I mean, no one else has them. I mean, yeah, they have this other half of the medallion, and now it starts off with how do we activate it? And I'm going to spoil it. They don't know how until the very last moments of the film. So Robert Patrick, literally, he's got ultimate power. I mean, he's turning into a shadow ghost. No one could hurt him. He could possess people. He could do whatever. But he's really holding back, and I don't know why. You should just kill everyone.
One of my favorite Scott Wolf moves, because when he's not doing karate, is that one of the henchmen has a ponytail, and he closes the guy's ponytail in a suitcase. Did either of you guys see this?
Yes.
And the guy, that henchman, and you see him like 5 minutes later still carrying the suitcase around attached to his head. Like it never occurred to him to take it off.
It's like the Scarlet Letter. People are going to know what he's done.
Like you leave that suitcase on. You wear your shame. Yeah, I didn't take a lot of notes here because this scene was dumb.
Well, Satori knows Robert Patrick. That's
Right.
part of the conversation. It's like, give me the other half of the medallion. Like, it turns out that the Lee's brother or Lee's father worked for him, and he's like, I knew that this medallion would be there. And she's like, I've hidden the other half of the medallion. And he's like, okay, I got it, and I know you have it. And there's a huge explosion, and she's dead. And
She sacrificed herself.
yeah, sort of, like needlessly.
Well, yeah, so she gets locked in like a little cage for some reason.
They get her out.
No, I know, but she's like, there's no way you're going to get me out of this cage. You got to leave me. And they're like, we're not leaving you. Literally one like half-hearted kick to the door, and the cage is open. We'll never make it.
But in that cage, like, we saw that she, like, manifested into something else.
She was possessed.
Yeah,
for a
she was
little
possessed by Shoku. What's his name?
bit. Bowser.
No, the T-1000. Isn't his name like Goku or
No, his name is
Kogu?
Shabadoo?
Kogu Shuko, because he changed his
Shuko. Kogu Shuko, okay,
He
yeah.
changed his name
He-
to
well, he-
be more Asian? I don't know.
That's
like, I
racist.
was like, what is going on with this? Like, well, my name used to be this, but it's going to be this now.
Yeah, Kogu Shuko.
Shuko.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so she was possessed by him and like kind of beating up the boys. So they locked her in this cage.
But then she's not possessed, and then
Right.
they get out, and she's like, "No, go without me." Like they have a conversation, like this guy's beyond. She's like, "No," and basically just stands in front of a door, knowing that there's a gas leak. It explodes, and she's dead. And then
Right.
they go off and drive away.
Yeah, absolutely no reason for this.
But they were upset though. Like that was, their guardian or mom or whoever. Like the whole time I was questioning, how old are these people? Like, have they been around for centuries? Are they in, like, at first I was like, are they immortal? Are they like whatever? Like I was really confused.
I totally agree with that, especially with Robert Patrick. I was like, this guy's talking about like thousands of years and like ancient times. Like, is this guy part of it, or is he just trying to like suck up the power? And I'm kind of thinking at the end that this is just some schmuck who's like, I need magic medallions.
yeah.
Well, he's a collector. We see like his whole thing. He was collecting all these like ancient artifacts, and then the medallion was one of them.
So yeah, so this is basically like the Indiana Jones style, like what the Nazis were trying to do in real life.
Yeah,
which they were trying to
basically.
do, like obtain artifacts of power, Kogoshuku style.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, big yikes. So now that Santori time is dead and their car is gone for some reason.
No. They drive off on their car and it immediately breaks down.
That's right.
Yeah.
The car breaks down. Because, my next note is that they're just like walking around outside.
And they say, we're officially pedestrians. that,
Bogus.
yeah, that was the like yeah, and I wrote, do you mean homeless? Like on the side, because you
potentially
don't
both, yeah.
you don't have a car or a home. I think it's a little more than you're just pedestrians.
Yeah, and this is where I believe at some point, maybe we didn't talk about it, Shoku, whatever, is kind of in his little warehouse riling up all the gangs, and the gangs like ambush them outside.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in time that he, as we all noted, that he unifies the gangs like the Joker does, and at one point in time they're like, we're not going to take it, and he demonstrates that he has magic powers, and they're like, yeah, we're going to take it. This guy's
fine,
cool.
yeah.
This guy's dope.
Did y'all see that the Hills of Eyes guy was?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was like, I know him.
he is in Nemo. Have you ever watched the movie Weird Science?
No.
So basically, you should watch this hunky boy smoke show. Robert Downey Jr. is there as a teen. He's not one of the main characters, but basically, let's just say through magic and science, they have wishes granted. Let's just say that for Weird Science. And inadvertently, basically, the Mad Max crew shows up, and that's one of the guys. And do you remember this at all?
I do, yeah.
Because the way he leaves, they're like, "Get out of my house!" And he's like, "Oh, call me. We could have coffee sometime." Like, bye. Like, rolls his motorcycle out. But yeah, okay. So back to the movie. They make their way to Mohawk territory, and they have to fight their way out. So there's like walking the streets after curfew, and it's basically like every Mohawk person. And the way they get out, and I noticed one guy's riding a bicycle at him, and I'm a big fan of the movie Turbo Kid, so it reminded me of Turbo Kid. That someone's just on a BMX bike racing towards someone, and I would say I think I have like it's 100+ verse 2, and the way they get out of this in an open field, they run into a bus and run out one door and just block it. Like the only way 100 people could have gotten to them is if they went through the bus, not around it, not over it. Just you have to go through the bus. Like imagine a parking lot that only has a bus. You have to go through the bus, and they shut the door to get out. So good job. They double dragoned you.
They did, yeah. They did get double dragoned.
And then one of the gang members is dressed as a postman, and then we hear Billy say, "Never seen a postman move that fast."
Didn't he just like fall off a cliff or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see him again. They
Yeah,
pop up.
yeah.
He comes back up.
No one dies in this PG-13 movie.
Yeah, except for the lady, the non-mom lady.
Unless you sacrifice yourself.
Yeah. Then
if you Obi-Wan yourself, you're okay.
Yeah.
You're alive in spirit.
Yeah. They're on a jet ski at some point, though.
Yeah, so they make their way basically to the dock.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're like, so they lock themselves in this like very rickety wooden dock boathouse. And they're like, we should jump. And they're like, that's liquid death. And so as Nemo noted, like there's a lot of environmental problems that you can't like get into this water. It's basically acid, which doesn't matter later on because they do it and that's totally fine. So you could say it all you want. But yeah, they get themselves in there. So first, there's kind of a little switch up.
That fresh ass motorcycle.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's this huge motorcycle. And I can't remember if you get on motorcycles in Double Dragon, maybe for a level, maybe that's kind of some kind of throwback. And they're like, nah, well, you're led to believe that they're going to be on it. And then the back of the boathouse explodes and they get on some wave runners and make their way out, while simultaneously villains are also on jet skis and wave runners, just waiting in case that happens.
Yeah, and these were like special gang guys because they had like assault wetsuits and like weird Nerf rocket launchers.
You don't want to get in that liquid death.
No. Yeah, so they do eventually get away. There's like a chase, some rockets, and then the brothers fall into the water. And he's like, don't get it in your mouth. Your hair will fall out. So rather than making any effort to get out of the water, they just sit there floating, like trying to spit water out of their mouths.
Oh, yeah. It's all in their mouths. It is in their eyes and their mouths. Yeah, I mean, I was led to believe that this is the goo that transformed the Ninja Turtles. Like, this is some toxic stuff. Mm-hmm. And they are splashing each other, spitting in their mouths.
I think they were being protected by the medallion.
It wasn't the medallion?
Nice.
I mean, because by that time, Billy had the medallion.
Yeah.
Right? He had the medallion. He wore it around his neck. So I'm like, maybe it's protecting him and we don't know.
Maybe. Because otherwise, that medallion seems like a big piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like the other medallion turns you into an invincible ghost. And this one, like, you can punch a little bit harder.
Hey, in video games, if you could, breathe underwater or not die by liquid death, you could find hidden objects, keys, various other things. I know my video game lore.
That's true, yeah.
So I'm with Nemo that you have the medallion that doesn't make your hair fall out. And
yeah. There's so many levels to this movie, different layers that I never appreciated watching it. This is pretty deep.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to the news. Another news clip. The news clips. I mean, this is why I'm saying I honestly feel that there's moments of this movie that I do think really hold up and are funny. And yeah, they're small, but these news clips are hilarious. Like back to George Hamilton. It's like explosion at the Hollywood River, and then they're like, oh my God, this happened in the daylight. This wasn't the deal we all had with the gangs. Like the gangs are cool. We just don't go out at night. We shelter ourselves like cowards, and that's the society. And this is the first gang attack in a day in 7 years. So this has been going on for quite some time.
I have a question about the gangs.
Sure.
Up until this point where we see the gangs and the daylight clashing, what were the gangs doing at night? They just like doing hood rat shit? Like if they're not, who are they fighting? Just each other? Or
I feel it's every dummy who drives into the city. Like you're clearly getting jacked. At least your car's gone, your money's gone. They're probably going to murder you. Well, that's just the deal you have with the gangs.
But it just seems like everyone knows to leave them alone. Did they come out and I like, "Arr!" and then there's no one there to fight. And they're like, oh, okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
They have stopwatches.
They're just like waiting around.
Like, beep, beep. Okay, we got 5 minutes to wrap this up. Sun's coming in like vampire gangs.
Being in a gang is just like really boring. That's why they're so mad.
that is the worst. Oh yeah, and then so I note this. So then we're immediately we see the news clip, but then we get all of these correspondents trying to interview the police chief. And so what I noted to the side, and this is definitely just really kind of me just being observant, because I don't think, unless I was taking notes, I would have noticed this. But some of the correspondents try to sympathize with the gangs, and I wrote. So one correspondent says to the police chief, like, maybe the gangs are just misunderstood. And he kind of looks at him like, are you serious? And someone goes, maybe they just need a hug.
That was true. Oh.
Hug a gang today.
Yeah. Well, someone
And they took your car, they bashed your brains, and give them a hug.
killed your mom.
So now that you brought that up, now I do have a question. So the gangs are not visible at all during daylight.
No.
So they
That
end
was the
up
deal.
getting their second, like they have a different alias, similar to what Alyssa.
Oh,
like, because how do you like?
So
Oh.
your prospect. You're
Like,
just,
I'm John Smith,
Right.
but at night I'm Bo Abobo.
Yeah,
Right, like
like
they'll
how what happened?
like he's like an accountant during
Yeah,
the day.
like
He
what
works at
happened?
H&R Block or something.
All
Yeah,
right,
okay.
so in 5 minutes, I'm done filing your taxes. I have a gang war to go fight.
Right.
Yeah.
And like his coworkers don't know. Like in the elevator at the end of the day, like,
Fight
see you,
Club style.
see you tomorrow. Like,
Yeah, they're getting a meeting
Like,
like in
see you
Fight Club,
later,
like
yeah.
spitting out teeth and blood. Like,
Right.
Everyone has an extra wig somewhere that they
Right.
need for their mohawk or something.
he has like a
So then,
tearaway
what about
suit.
the mailman? Does he just wear his?
No, he's
like,
the mailman. That's what
He's,
they're
but he's
all
a
just-
gang too.
The mailman and the clowns can both walk both lines. They're clowns and mailmen during the day too.
my God.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, now I want to see I don't want to say the sequel. I want to see the parallel movie that was being filmed, like a day in the life of a gang member.
Double Dragon After Hours.
So I know I don't know who the actor is, but like the crony, like the thin like white dude who was always with Bo Abobo.
the one who acts purely with his mouth.
Yeah, weasel guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that guy. I want to see what that guy's doing during the day. Like
He works at a Pizza Hut, I think.
probably like, do you want more Coca-Cola with that?
Salad bar.
Yeah, well, another pepperoni pizza, everybody. Happy birthday.
Use the tongs.
God.
Yeah.
Just a
damn.
side note.
No,
Sorry.
that's a great observation. I hadn't thought of that. I thought the gangs were just like sitting in the room bored all day.
Well,
Like,
but I think we see that with Alyssa Milano. Like she puts on a wig
Yeah.
when in the day when she's at home.
It was
So-
a simpler time when you
Yeah.
just wore a wig or, a Robin mask and no one knew who you were. They just knew everyone.
Perfect.
no, totally.
Put on glasses like Superman.
So this we get a quick cut back to Robert Patrick's lair, and Mike, this is where he highlights his total plan. He is pissed off that they did not get this medallion. He is going into a temper tantrum mode, and he literally says he deserves, quote unquote, total domination over one major American city.
Okay.
And that's what he wants. Like, that's a really weird big picture plan. Like, you, one, have demon forces now. Two, you want to double down and enhance that, but you really just want to be in charge of New Los Angeles. Like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
and like, what's even there? It seems like a crap hole.
I mean, we don't know what happened to the rest of the country, but yeah, this has got to be one of the worst cities, much like it is today.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's right. Like, we don't know what happened in the rest of America, but like, one, who cares? Like, I don't even know the state of America in this movie. Why aren't you trying to be like, I'm gonna conquer Asia? Like, this, if this is a game of Risk, it's hardest to maintain Asia. But as a demon, you could probably do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless there's a Sicilian involved, then
They never start a land war.
Is this where the brothers go into the power core hideout via the fun water slide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's like two doors and they pick the wrong one and they fall down this hole.
They said use the other door.
Well, the sign said use the other door and they're like, that's not real. That's a diversion. So they go into this like Mario Brothers pipe and then they fall down this thing. And that we see that the power core has Bo Abobo. He's like tied up and they're torturing him by feeding him spinach.
Yeah, Alyssa Milano is force feeding him spinach.
And we all like the power core. When we first see the room, it's like
I wrote it's surrounded by young Jedis that when they fall through the room, It's only children. It's like the Lost Boys. They're like with like slingshots. They're
Right,
like,
but like there was like a whole group of people like hula hooping. Is that?
oh yeah, that's just in the back. So
Right.
So if you fall through the trap door, a bunch of kids will murder you, and then people are just having fun in the background.
Was it fun or was that training? Was it like hula hoop strength training? Do
You
you,
get- you-
do you hula hoop at the gym?
No.
Nemo goes to the gym. Neither Paul and I do.
No, but I can't see how that can be
Is it good for-
conditioning.
does it
It's good-
engage the core?
Yeah, it
Okay.
definitely really helps condition.
Okay.
Oh, now that looking at that is a whole different thing. So it's like a whole like gym training thing. And she even brought up the fact that we need to train the younger generation.
Right, and that's the only thing they could get him to do.
Yeah.
Nemo, which Lee brother do you think would be better at hula hooping?
I think anything Jimmy does.
Okay, all right.
Anything.
All right, so Nemo's team Jimmy here.
Yep,
So write us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com and let us know your thoughts on the Lee brothers. Is Nemo correct? Is Jimmy the team that you want to be on? Do we got any Team Billies out there? We don't.
No, Billy is Scott Wolf, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Team Billy sucks.
Yeah.
Sensei Billy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Alyssa Milano pops in like, hey, like guys, what are you doing around here? I told you to use the other door. There was a sign.
Yeah. Wah wah. Yeah.
Like dummies.
Yes. So this movie was like kind of a kids movie, but also kind of not. Like there's a lot of like weird, fun, like zany, wacky stuff.
Yeah, was it Hudson Hawk with Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
This movie's kind of in the same vein where it's like we need to do some action, but maybe someone's on a skateboard here and there. Like what?
Right. Well, I mean, everything that Scott Wolf says is like Nickelodeon stuff.
Well, I found Alyssa Milano had straight up video game 101, and I don't mean Double Dragon. I mean like some kind of role playing game. They get to this layer, and the quote is "Welcome to the Power Core." like it is literally like save game, go take a break. Like you're in a new chapter of this game. Like you are now part of this.
Yeah. Alyssa Milano is a quest giver in this movie.
Right.
Can I also note
Yeah,
that
yeah, of course.
I can't stand the lack of chemistry or lack of whatever. I was just like, I know there's interest, but what is going on right now? And I think that's where it's a kid show. And I was like, wait, it's not a kid show.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, it's so weird.
yeah, and I'm like, I know somebody's interested, but everyone's just hella awkward.
Yeah, this movie needed to pick a lane.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the 1989 Ninja Turtles movie?
Yeah.
So in that movie, I thought it was interesting. Like one of the subplots is the Foot Clan is trying to recruit all of the kids in the city who don't really have stable family lives or basic. Like it made sense. It's like your life at home sucks, but we'll teach you martial arts. You could basically live in an arcade. We'll give you cigarettes and junk food, but you'll work for us. I'm like, that probably could work. This is kind of the opposite where it's like, hey kids, there's some bad stuff, but do you like neon colors, ball pits, and slingshots? Like I'm gonna make you into the Care Bears gang. like that's gonna show them.
I was really eyeing the neon river water.
Yeah, the
was,
river
I was
of
all
goo.
like, is that real goo or is it just water? Like I really wanted to touch it. It just was so, dang, wish I was there.
It was real goo.
Yeah.
This has been brought to you by The Real Goo.
It's actually Nickelodeon's GAC.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now we have the roller gangs invading some kind of mall. Also, side note, I would like to watch Prayer of the Roller Boys. With one of the Coreys. That should make an appearance on this. But yeah, they come in and bust up some kind of mall, Mighty Ducks 2 style. I have that. And then, the Power Core is doing something.
Oh, is this where they're sneaking into them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Alyssa Milano and the bros are trying to sneak up to what's his name's office, which is for some reason on the top floor of a mall.
That's right, yeah. So they break into this mall, and Power Core is creating a diversion, I think, by doing this.
Right.
And then Alyssa Milano and the Double Dragon Lee brothers are trying to get into Robert Patrick's office so they can maybe find this other...
They were trying to steal them. Did you notice that they entered on the ground floor, walked through like a vent, and then were immediately at the penthouse where the office is?
Well, in video games, you oftentimes jump up on those like whirlwind
Was there a
warps.
burst of wind? Okay.
We just didn't see that.
So they rode some kind of AC vent.
I did see that in the trivia of this movie, at least according to IMDb, that Street Fighter, they made a separate video game where like Jean-Claude Van Damme was digitized and Raul Julia was digitized, and they made a version of these digitized characters. And they tried to do it with this movie. They just didn't have the funds. I'm like, I can't believe they had the funds for this movie. So that's a side note to that.
Also, I want to bring up the fact that because Alyssa Milano was in the vent, that's why they were checking her out.
They were definitely looking to.
I do remember that.
Okay,
yeah.
see?
So I do. Yeah. So the vent situation, but maybe the other ones I did not catch as much.
Yeah. So that they ride the wind gust up the vent, I guess, and they're trying to. So they're.
So what happens when you have a medallion?
Right,
It gets
yeah.
you to secret passages, and then you take the warp up.
Last time they leveled up, they had to pick that power from their skill tree. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay. So they're kind of above T1000's desk, and they see the medallion in its little box, and they decide to like fish for it using some twine and one of the power core enamel decorative pins that Melissa Milano was wearing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work, not well.
But then it starts to work.
It starts to work, but then like Babe Henchman sees them.
But she watches this all
No, she is
happen.
looking at it like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, she's like, okay,
For
so
quite a while.
there's a string that just came down. It's taking this medallion. I also made a side note, why the hell would you ever take off this medallion? You have a medallion that grants you demon-like powers. People are going to want it. You just like toss it offside. This is Back to the Future when Biff gets the almanac. And he's like, I'll look at it later, and throws it in like the back seat of his car. He's like, get a safe. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't ever take off. Nemo, would you be taking off the medallion?
No, and that's the thing. You see Billy, he never takes off the medallion.
Damn right.
And I'm like, Billy had it on the whole time. So, like, the whole time, what's his nuts? Patrick.
Yeah.
He, he could have just gone and just attacked Billy and just get the medallion. But he was like,
And Billy thinks it's a piece of garbage that doesn't work.
Yep.
And he's wearing it the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on, Billy.
Fucking
Robert Patrick. But yes, Lash sees clearly what's going on, and they attempt to get the medallion, and she stops. What does she do? I pick up a spear from like a statue and stops this, and then everyone kind of comes crashing down. Also, at the same time, the chief of police is there because he's like, "I'm going to talk to Robert Patrick." He's like, "We had a deal."
Alyssa Milano's dad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, we had a deal, like, you're not supposed to be, going out. And so it is weird. So the cop is not bad. He's not a dirty cop. It's, we had a deal and you are not upholding this. So there's this weird fragility of this whole city and how crime works, as everyone in this room just noted, like, what are they doing during the day? Everyone's just seemed cool with this. This has been going on for 7+ years. Yeah, this is super weird. But yes, then... the deal is not upheld, and the police chief clearly finds out that his daughter... I note, maybe he realizes she's the lead of the resistance. At least he knows she's part of the resistance with this.
So, just to tie back to what you were saying, so 7 years. So, the big earthquake in 2000 was what created these different, like, gangs. And this is in 2007.
Yeah.
So, that's why they say 7 years. And so, again... I'm thinking, so when the big earthquake happened, because I thought about St. Andreas, and then, The Rock popped in my head naturally for that movie.
Smoke show. Big
You should have been Bo Qdoba.
Oh my God, Nemo would have died.
Yeah, totally. I was just thinking, I'm like, why? So I was just thinking of the formation of like, why were gangs created after 2000, even though the big quake happened and then, all this thing happened, it just didn't make sense in how the structure of society was created.
Sure, so there's an earthquake. I need to be in a gang.
That was essentially, yeah.
Get the water and the knives. We're in a gang. Nemo, what kind of gang would you be in Double Dragon? What would the theme of your gang be?
I would probably take over Lash's
Nice.
gang, because, okay, that was my big commentary. Is like, that girl cannot whip for shit.
So you basically are running a dominatrix gang.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Also note, I do like that Cop Dad takes out Lash. There's a one-on-one fight, and he basically just takes her out like boom, bam. Nemo's right. Like her whip skills are very, very questionable. Mike, what kind of gang would you be in?
I don't know.
Could we be in like a music gang?
Yeah, like a 50s doo-wop kind of group. Like
what is your power? Or what is your strength?
The power of song.
We blind and charm you with our songs, and then we just jack your stuff.
We jack something. Yeah, it's our bold scat doo-wop style.
Bop 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 bop. Give me your money. Bop bop.
we sing at people.
And then Mike pulls out a switchblade, and then things happen. We have the money.
The clown babies, they're all gangs, baby.
And what about you, Paul?
Yeah, what's yours?
I don't know. I just noted the music part of this, so I think that I would be part of that music gang. We would charm you with the power of song, and then we would take all of your belongings, and you would thank us for it. Like, what charming young men.
Very nice.
Like, bye.
Thanks for the stuff.
And if you have kids, we give you like a little piece of candy.
Wasn't there like a movie with Keanu Reeves and music and stuff like that? Like, yo, y'all, this is before my time, so I really don't know.
Bill and Ted?
Yeah, that.
Yes.
Isn't that it?
They time travel.
Yeah. Don't they do music stuff?
The Wild Stallions. Yeah, that's their band. The band that brings the world together in peace and harmony.
But you guys would be not doing that.
No, we're making different music.
Okay.
Our music doesn't
I was
bring
just
anyone
making
together.
sure.
Yeah.
I was like, wasn't there a movie about that?
Yeah, their music is for peace and world harmony. Ours is for crime. We have crime music.
What was the Bill and Ted's like the mantra of the future? Like be excellent.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to one another. Yeah.
Our mantra is give us your shit.
Smile as we loot you.
I will cut you otherwise. Smile as we loot you. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
So there's that fight scene in Patrick's lair, and then that's where Cop Dad was all like, "Hey, you're involved in this? This can't happen. I need to save you or protect you." Like, he changed his demeanor towards
yeah.
completely. He was like, "I need, like, oh my god, maybe you were right."
Right. You guys are terrorists. Oh, my daughter's in charge. You guys are all right.
And so, while Cop Dad is taking on Lash, both the Lee brothers and Alyssa Milano run into the experimental room. I mean, they're running, and they just happen to go into the experimental room. This is where Bo Abobo was transformed into steroid Bo Abobo. I actually like the scene because all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my god, these bodies! Like, there's all these bodies." And they're like, "Oh, they're all dead." And they're like, "They're not dead."
Zombies!
Yeah, I've seen this movie before. I forgot the scene actually exists. But all of a sudden, these bodies start getting up, and they have to ninja their way out by fighting basically zombies. And I was like, this is a totally fun scene.
Was the one that was a basketball player a real basketball player?
Probably. I do know exactly.
I thought about that. I was just all like, wait, I really want to look at, what's his jersey name?
Yeah, I didn't care enough to look it up, but he had to have been someone.
He was freakishly tall.
Yeah, he was.
And I'm like,
huge.
he is a real basketball player. That was like, hey, can I do a cameo?
I wrote
like,
that.
Sure.
Zombie basketball player gets up.
Yep. No, the zombie scene, I was like, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Which then brings me back to that question of like, is this Zuko dude, like, how old is he?
I totally agree. Again, like, is this guy just like in his 30s or 40s, or is this guy like 3,000 years old?
Yep.
Also, the way he's able to use his power, it's like, hey, I got this half a medallion. So Billy is having a hard time using or activating it at all. And it has been noted that, it saved you or it helped you in areas, but he doesn't know how to turn it on. He doesn't know how to use it. Robert Patrick instantly knows how to use it and uses it well. I mean, I'm going to use demonic powers, but he's still really, really angry about the whole thing of not having the other half of the medallion.
It's just kind of like, finding the other half of your soulmate kind of thing. You can't just be alone wandering. You need the other part.
Well, I'm just saying turn into a shadow and destroy the person who has it. Like, why are you messing around, dude? Like, he's playing like this needless game of cat and mouse. Like, I'm going to chase you. I'm going to do this. Turn into a shadow, destroy the whole building. Everyone's dead, and just go through the rubble and collect it. Like, this guy's overthinking everything.
Then we won't have a movie.
That's fair. I mean, we could have just a ghost movie. Just ghosts fighting each other.
So zombies.
Yes.
Basketball players. Then there was the main zombie guy who we saw, like, because who got sacked? Oh, this is when Jimmy sacrifice himself.
Does he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he sacrificed himself so that Billy can escape with Alyssa, and he's like, "You
Oh,
gotta go. You
that's
need to
right.
go. You need." And I'm like, "Do you need to go? Like, I feel like you have some time, but you know."
yeah,
Yeah.
I totally.
He got a big bear hug. That was essentially what happened to Jimmy. That he, you know, I don't know who was hugging him, like the lumberjack guy or whatever, like hugged
No one-
him
yeah, no one knows.
to
Go lumberjack.
yeah, like the zombie lumberjack hugged him to where like escape Billy because
Oh
I'm
no,
distracting him.
it was Lash. Lash hugged him.
no,
Lash
it
is fighting Cop Dad.
Yeah, Lash is not
Oh.
in the picture.
Okay.
It was like a lumberjack-ish looking zombie.
Yeah, and basically,
Oh, my notes are
Alyssa
terrible.
Milano and Billy get away, and Jimmy's like, "Go save yourself!" And Nemo's totally right. Like a door's like slowly opening like this, like it's like Austin Powers
With the
when
steamroller,
like,
yeah.
"No, get out of the way!" Like, dude, just like walk 2 feet and get down. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you know martial arts. Like,
Yep.
you could do probably like
Well,
bop bop and
but-
just like walk off.
But Scott doesn't know martial arts, so that's why
No.
Billy was like,
That's- that-
I don't know what to do. And Alyssa's like, "Come on, we gotta get out." And you know, Jimmy gets hugged
Yep.
to whatever, and this is where it transitioned to like that's where they thought he died.
Yeah.
And like sacrifice himself so that Alyssa and Scott can escape. And then
We get a news clip. It's
Yeah.
like city under siege. Like, oh my God, like the gangs are out. Like Channel 69 News. So I noted that directly. And the police are in a standoff and they're taking back the streets. But are they really? And they're like, no, we're not getting involved with this. And then what we got? Jimmy's captured. Quick cut. It's a very quick cut that he's basically just tied in a chair. He's back in Robert Patrick's lair. And then we get Alyssa and Milano and Billy, and then they're cooking something up, and they're like, as the power core, we're gonna, get everyone together. But boom, they break into their lair. So that's, I guess, Lash came too, and Lash has my absolute favorite quote in the entire movie.
I have this written down.
Yeah, she busts in and looks at Alyssa Milano and goes, "Now who's the boss?" And I thought, holy God, this movie just went up a full point. So
Did you catch the counterpoint to that?
something about like working in soap operas or nurses or
Yeah.
hospitals.
When the tides turn and Alyssa Milano gets the upper hand, she says, "I usually put people in the hospital," which I'm guessing is a general hospital
That is correct.
reference. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, now who's the boss? I'm like, oh man,
Yeah,
if
perfect.
Tony Danza could pop out right now.
If he would have, it would have been a better movie.
Now we also get a really quick cut to steroid Bo Abobo sad in the mirror. He's like checking himself. I was like,
Is this where he refers to the brothers as the double dorks?
he might.
Okay.
And now Bo Abobo's just got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Booger of Revenge of the Nerds. Like Ogre, not Booger. Ogre. Who like
Oh, yeah.
the big oaf who just wants friends.
He's got a
Just-
heart of gold,
at the
yeah.
end of the day, he just wants some friends. Yeah, so yeah, we get Bo Abobo in the mirror. Friend. Friend is me.
yeah, I started feeling really sad for him.
So the fight's continuing, and Jimmy shows up. Uh-oh, it's fake Jimmy. So Jimmy shows up. He's like, "Hey, buddy." And Billy's like, "Oh, man, I thought you were dead. Like, everything's great." And then he just beats the crap out of Billy. And Nemo, I have to assume this is where hunky boy power level kicks in for you, where you actually just see Jimmy kicking the crap out of Billy.
This is real Jimmy. This is real Jimmy for me. He was holding back the whole time for like the brotherly bull crap. No, this was how it should be, and it was amazing. With that being said, though, you can tell that he was a little grumpy. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not the real Jimmy.
Nemo, you could soothe the grump out of him. Just remember that. So if Jimmy, you are listening, Nemo here could be your Iron Chef Duchess or whatever, whatever the designation would become. when
I
you-
will eat whatever you cook, Bill, anytime.
Feel free to
You
write
heard it
us.
here first.
Yeah, write us. You too, Mark, could be part of Rabbit Troop Sucks, and you could bring us some sweet food and cook Nemo food, and
We'll be happy,
yeah.
and we would love you forever.
And if Iron Chef wants to sponsor this podcast, that'd be fine. The official podcast of Iron Chef.
If you Iron Chef, if you sponsor us, I will watch at least one episode. Of
Oh
Iron
yeah,
Chef.
I'll make Mike. But yeah, this fight is continuing. I don't know. There's this is where we see Billy is fighting past all these arcade machines, and bam, they break the fourth wall. And I have a couple of screenshots on my phone of this. Billy is straight up standing in front of Double Dragon arcade machines. I think there's 3 of them fanned out, and Scott Wolf is standing as one of the characters of Double Dragon in front of the Double Dragon arcade game. The marquee is there with both the characters, and the game is turned on in the back. So I was like, wow, that's just super weird, but they did it. And Billy gets really sick of it. He's like, you piece of junk. He's so sick of the medallion. He's like, you piece of junk. This is where he just freaks out. He's like, I never needed you. And he says, I could do better without you. And he throws it as far as he can. And that's what activates the medallion. Oh no, you didn't need my powers, but now you're going to get it one way or another, buddy. And they activate it. And basically what happens is like, just like kind of like a power explosion. And I didn't see exactly because I was taking notes. How does Robert Patrick lose his medallion? Like his goes to the ground, his half.
I don't know, but
yeah, I don't remember seeing that part. Like what I recall was that Jimmy's all pissy because he couldn't activate the medallion, and so but from there I think he chucks it, and that's where like Jimmy catches it, and then Zuko like got out of his body and got both of them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that was actually what happened because I remember that part of like, oh.
But there's that freeze frame where like he throws the medallion. He's like, I could do better without you, and it kind of turns like, oh really? Like you need me. That's right. But then it does fall to the ground.
Yeah.
Like, but the medallion almost like the cloak that Doctor Strange wears and now is active with a personality, and it's like wink. I got you, bro. And so like there is some kind of personification of this inanimate object. Then yeah, Robert Patrick gets it momentarily, and then the real Jimmy is then there.
Robert Patrick turns into like a weird samurai demon.
So
That's when he gets both of the
okay.
medallion.
That's where I forgot that's what happens. So what happens is he activates it, and it's really weird because so Robert Patrick activates the medallions, and I feel it downgrades his powers. It splits him into 2 shadow samurais that both suck. Like
Yes.
none of them are using these demonic powers. Like his one act of skill with using the half of the medallion was way more powerful than what these 2 shadow ninjas are doing. And then Jimmy and Billy just beat the crap out of them. Then they get the medallions. They unite it, and boy howdy do they get some fancy attire.
Yeah, it's like sparkly blue and red.
I thought about Mortal Kombat. That was the first thing that popped up.
Yeah, it was.
Why? Because that was my Halloween costume.
That's awesome.
So I wore something similar to that.
This past year?
No, it's a while ago.
Okay, so not.
But I do remember. And I was like, oh yeah, I had that.
Let's bring it back. My wife dressed as Katana when she was a kid. I've
That
not seen
is
photos.
amazing.
I want to see it. My mother-in-law, I think, made the costume.
That is awesome.
But I also want to bring it back to the fact that y'all weren't paying attention to the cinematography with the fight choreography when Jimmy was like in action.
Oh, when they were doing like the windmills.
Yeah, and a lot of the jumping stuff. I was like, see, that's when you know he actually knows martial art,
Right.
as opposed to Billy, who didn't do.
Who just, like,
any-
runs around
Yep,
people in
and I was like,
circles.
I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And I want to note a couple things with this final moment fight sequence. First of all, before they activate it, or like as they're activating it, Satori's back. We see a floating Satori head, and it's like, I don't remember exactly what she says, but she's like, "Go get him, guys." I'm like, that's super, super weird. And I want to make this abundantly clear. Robert Patrick has 0 powers right now. He is just a mortal dude, like walking down.
Mortal-ish, we don't know.
Yeah. Again, Nemo's correct. Like, I don't know how old this guy is, but he does not have any powers that he exhibits at all. So he's just, in theory, a regular old fella. They now have the double dragon power and just beat the crap out of him. Like, this would have been great if they had the power when they're fighting mystic shadow ninjas, but now they're using this super heroic power just to beat like a regular old guy.
Yeah, and so like Jimmy turns the tables and inserts himself into Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
Yep.
And does the classic stop hitting yourself thing.
Yeah, and then he's like, and they have future like receipts He's like, I'm gonna
Oh no, the check.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
will
donate
write you a check.
He's like, I'm gonna write you a check for $129 million to the police department of New Los Angeles. And he's like, you don't believe me? And he's like, I can't take bribes. He's like, it's not a bribe. And then prints it out. Like, that can never be refuted whatsoever. But he does give $120 million to the cops. I also didn't understand why. So we didn't establish too much. One of the powers is you could possess someone. And so now that the Lee brothers have this, they could possess Robert Patrick. And my thought is, why wouldn't you go public and be like, I'm giving all my stocks away, I'm giving the company away, I'm giving back. They're just like, just lock him in jail. So they donate $129 million to the cops, and then he just zaps out of them. And Robert Patrick's like, what? That wasn't really me. I want that receipt back. And they're like, okay, fella. And they just take him to jail.
So well, that's when Cop Dad popped up and then like arrested him. But I'm gonna rewind back a little bit because there were a few scenes with Alyssa Milano fighting.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
Fighting Lash.
Y'all, that was bad.
Yes.
That was bad on both ends. Like I brought it up, Lash cannot whip.
Yeah,
and then Alyssa, I'm like, was that a sidekick? I don't know what the hell that was.
I can't remember, was it this sequence or when the father's fighting Lash when they just cut the whip? Does anyone remember this?
No, that was this final event.
So
because she still had her stupid whip that she wasn't whipping correctly.
So she whips a pillar and looks at it like, how did it get stuck? Like, my one weapon is a whip. That's what I'm known for. And I whipped it at someone, and now it's stuck on a pillar, and then one of the Lee brothers just cuts it.
Yep. And then
it was like bolt cutters.
And then Alyssa fights her, and then we see Bo Abobo, him. Mm-hmm. He was rooting on for the Lee. I'm like, oh, look at you, boo. You switched sides.
He just wanted friends.
Yeah, he just wanted friends. But that's when I was like, oh, Alyssa, why? Why is this happening? So yes, that was my biggest note. It's like, she can't fight either. So
yeah.
No wonder her and Scott match. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was just saying.
the weakest of them all. So yeah, and that basically brings us to the conclusion. They drive off, and then we get Bo Abobo wanders up. He's like, hey, and Alyssa Milano is showing Billy like, hey, your car that died. Well,
the dragon wagon.
Yeah, the dragon wagon. We fixed it up. Like all the gangs united, and like everyone in the power core found pieces. Like you guys are totally badass. And Bo was like, can I drive? And Billy's like, yeah, sure, for whatever reason. And then he's in the backseat with Alyssa Milano, like, hey, this is a good idea that this crazy dude's going to drive this car. And he even says, like, he drives like a maniac, but he puts him in charge. And then he tries to put the moves on Alyssa Milano, who's into it. And then Jimmy pops up. He's like, I don't think so. And says something like, I don't know, like, I'm going to make moves on her or whatever, which I never found any of that to be established. That's what I noted earlier. Like, what? And then Bobo was like, and then like hits the gas and flames come out and they start screaming, and that's basically the end of the movie.
Well, I think the misunderstanding was that Billy thought that it was Jimmy that was in Abobo. Because that's why I was like, oh yeah, let him drive the car. Because he thought Abobo was, because you know how Jimmy was the one that was in Suko. So then he thought that, hey, Jimmy's in Abobo trying to, just have some fun or whatever. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and drive the car. But it wasn't until they get in the car and Jimmy's like, wait, what's going on? And he's like, wait, that's the actual guy? And that's when they all freaked out. I'm like, for real?
It's also noted like they should never really use their powers unless there's like a dire need, like an emergency, like life-altering, planet-ending situation. They are clearly using these powers as parlor tricks on the daily.
Yep.
So we do get one very last scene, and I did like this, and it's some of the henchmen of Robert Patrick. One of the henchmen is in Big Trouble in Little China, and they're holding signs on the side of the highway, and it was "Will hench for food" and "Thugs seek ruthless boss." and then they're just looking, and then the credits basically roll. That's all we got. Yep,
that was it.
So, I mean, we established, Nemo, that Hunky Boy definitely wins as Jimmy.
Yep.
I still, going through this movie, I do not think it is as bad as the 3.5 or whatever is listed on IMDb. This would be my battle. Well, and I feel you two are the wrong audience. I think this movie gets worse reviews because it goes under the name Double Dragon and there's a video game association. But honestly, if this was like Ninja Boys, the movie, I think the ratings would be slightly better. I'm not saying it would be a better movie, just 3.5 is rough. I mean, we've watched movies that I feel are like honest to God unwatchable over the years. Not that we've recorded or shared with this podcast, but we've watched movies that are like unwatchable that have somewhat better reviews than this. I really don't think the 3.5 is necessary. I think it's also way easier for me to say this, 25, 6, 7, 8 years after the fact, rather than 1994. I remember seeing this movie in the 90s, also hating it. I think I've warmed up to it a touch. Not that I'm like, I love it and I want to own it. We watched this on Amazon Prime, all for free. But I mean, how do you guys feel about the 3.5 rating at the end? Like in all seriousness, like, do you think it's that bad of a film?
I do genuinely think it's that bad of a film. This was not a super fun movie for me.
So I like the first thing I saw was the 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty accurate. I think it's pretty accurate. I mean, even taking it out of like its time and the special effects and whatnot, it was just choreography has gotten so much better.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I rather them would have put someone else who knew martial arts that was not like a Scott Wolf. That would have made it better. And then I would have given it some sort of, higher ratings. But it's specifically martial arts. So give me some. And they didn't give me shit.
Yeah. I think the big sell for me on this is, and it's not me as an adult, but I think if I watched this movie, if I was 12 or 13, I would have had a different, like, I think that would be, if it was more updated and I saw a movie like this and I was 12 or 13 now, I think I would have liked it more. Like, that's cool. Like, and I totally agree with Nemo. If the martial arts was better, and it's more like, I think they're supposed to each be about 17. I kind of like this idea, like, they're on their own.
They were supposed to be 17.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so now I'm getting it, like, really? Child welfare, where are they at? Like, what's going on right now?
This
like,
is new Los Angeles.
Like, where's the guardian ad litem? Like, I'm really concerned about these kids.
We saw the Satori head. She's eternally with us.
Yeah, she's
like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Like, she's floating around somewhere, but at the same time, she's like taking care of these kids, but also putting them in like fight pits to
Right.
do they win money? Like, what's going on? Like,
Maybe.
Yeah, like, what's happening? Like,
I think
I'm really
no,
concerned.
because I think
They're not very good at
I
it.
think I think it was noted with the first karate match that, damn it, like, you keep sabotaging what we're doing and we're never winning any of these matches.
Right. Well,
So
that,
we go home to our weird playhouse.
They keep getting reported to Child Protective Services, but Child Protective Services are all in the clown gang at night, so they're tired during the day. Yeah.
Well, Nemo, maybe that's why there was a wanted for them, that they're just minors.
Yeah, they're not wanted for crimes. They're just like, these are children in danger. Like,
These are minors.
we need to give these.
And they're in some kind of karate ring. That's where I want Cobra Kai, the show, to go. Just underground karate fighting.
Yeah, I was in the middle watching this, and my daughter popped in, and she's like, "Is this like a really bad version of Cobra Kai?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know what this is." So we're watching it together.
My last note on this is Chicken Scratch. It's just like a really final note. And I was like, why did I write Batman? And I was like, oh my God. What I didn't know is one of the writers of this movie is Paul Dini. And he is super known for pretty much anything animated that's Batman. Like the Batman animated series, like all of the notable ones are written by Paul Dini. I was like, oh my God, like this guy wrote this movie. Like, I am sure the script has to be somewhat different, or this was just like, gun to head, you have 2 hours, make a script. Hey, Batman, dude, write me a script on Double Dragon. I'm like, okay, sir. Yeah, that was super weird. Wow, I guess I'm the only one in Rabbit Troop Sucks that somewhat likes this movie. And I'm not defending it. Like, I'm not planning to go back and watch it. I just 3.5 or whatever the 3 point whatever is. I think it's super harsh in what this is. There is enough fun in this movie, as I said, with the Vanna White and George Hamilton news skits, and there's a couple other things that at least make me feel entertained in this. Like, I will say, I thought this movie was much more composed than Crime Wave.
Everything is more composed than Crime Wave.
So, and I think, like, I just want to make a comparison. So let's look up on IMDb Crime Wave versus Double Dragon. So Crime Wave has a
7.3.
I have a 5.6.
Really?
On IMDb. Where are you at?
Wait, Crime Wave?
Yeah, one word.
50. Oh, maybe I put it.
Yeah,
wrong.
it's a 5.6, where Double Dragon is something.
Wait, I put crime wave in, and it's a song on YouTube.
Yeah. So this is a 3.8. So that's really my defense. Like, I just feel this is probably the better of the two movies. And it's so hard for me to say as someone who really loves Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. But this, I mean, whatever. Yeah, I think the one takeaway from this is I don't know much that Scott Wolf did after this. He's definitely been in some movies. As we said, Mark went on and does Iron Chef. Alyssa Milano, thank God you went on to do Charmed and other better things. Just you're a much better actor and should not be in a film like this. And yeah. So thinking about going to future hunky boy smoke show movies, Nemo, do you have any movies that we should revisit? I mean, we talked about Ninja Assassin, but is there any movie you're like, yeah, this is an overlooked or weird movie we should totally do on this podcast?
No, I think I'd leave that to y'all.
Okay.
And I will join to watch as needed. But yeah, Ninja Assassin is one that I would be willing to rewatch again and go from there. But other than that, I don't know.
We'll find some hunky boy smoke show movies.
What about Tears of a Ninja or whatever?
Yeah,
whatever the fuck that movie
Mike and I
is
watched
called.
like a sequel to a movie that we never saw the first of, which was amazing. And then, as I said, I looked up just a couple notable ninja films, and there's a ton on Tubi. So yeah, we could find a bunch of these. But yeah, Nemo, thanks for joining us on Rabbit Troop Sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully you had fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yay.
Yay.
All of us, could be reached at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com, or you could go to rabbittroopsucks.com. You could visit us on Instagram. You could visit us on Facebook and join our group. Contact us if you think there's a movie we should watch. Contact us if you have any questions. Contact us if you're a hunky boy smoke show and you want to get to know Nemo, because we'll make you a guest. It'll be like audition. We'll audition you from afar and radio in, and if you answer questions correctly, then you maybe could meet Nemo. There'll be a whole screening process.
Perfect.
Wow.
I will be there for that. See y'all there.
Awesome. Well, as always, Rabbit Troop Sucks.
Woo.